using the Sony Xperia 1 Mark V since it was released here in Japan, and I finally feel ready to make a review on it. And while this device is far from perfect in my opinion, I do still think it is the best Xperia device that I've used so far. The new 1.5 definitely improves on the 1.4, especially in the case of thermals. The new design here on the 1 Mark V helps to more evenly dissipate the heat, removing the typical kind of hotspot that I would get around this area right here on the 1 Mark IV, right where the chip is. The new design also just feels more refined and then also helps to add some grip as well, making the device easier to hold if you choose to go without a case. Or with the official Sony case, you can still see the sides right here are exposed. I feel like the new chip does also help in terms of battery life, but to be completely honest, on the 1.4 I was never too worried about making it through the day, so that means that the 1 Mark V for my use cases just means it adds a little bit extra security on top of that. Screen-wise, the 1 Mark V seems to be more or less just about the same as the 1 Mark IV, although I will say this is the first Xperia device that I've owned where I'm not facing a severe green tint issue, especially when it comes to lower brightness settings, so I'm super happy about that. The speakers here, as with the last few models, are an absolute joy to use, although I will say I think the iPhone Pro Max still does edge out in terms of sound quality and sound deepness and just the kind of level of sound that you can get. Even though we are looking at front firing speakers here, which are great, I do think that the iPhone still does edge it out just a little bit.
Now that we're far, I see you closer. Now that we're not talking, I know you better. Now that we're far, I see you closer. Now that we're not talking, I know you better.
I enjoy gaming a lot on the 1 Mark V, though to be honest, I don't always push the device super hard. I'm usually sticking to things like emulation with Game Boy games, PSP games, and things like that. I do occasionally play things like Call of Duty and a game called Torque Drift. It definitely pushes the device a lot. It handles it well, so I'm happy about that. And I usually only play games with my PS5 controller connected as well, which is super easy to pair, and then I can have a lot more fun gaming on the go. The Game Enhancer app is also always receiving improvements with each major update, and the power pass-through feature continues to still be there, which is my favorite feature by far. However, it is quite annoying that you can't add any app to the pass-through feature, the power pass-through feature, including Sony's own video and photo apps. I don't really quite understand this, but it's definitely something that needs to be fixed or at least addressed in my opinion. If you've seen any of my POV photography videos before, then you'll know that I really love to shoot with Xperia, and I really love the UI design inside of their Photo Pro app. I think it's well designed, and I think it falls well in line with Sony's other mirrorless cameras, so it's really easy if you start on one to be able to use the other and kind of move into one or the other. In terms of photography with the Xperia 1 Mark V, I'm glad to see a lot of the bigger channels out there finally acknowledging that at this point, with flagship phones, with all of these top models, a lot of it does come down to subjective preference, meaning that the differences between them are not that huge, and in fact, any device, in my opinion, that you get at this kind of price level is going to give you photos that you should be happy with. With that being said, I do see a lot of people complaining about Xperia and that it doesn't process as well as some of the other brands, but in my opinion, I really love the colors and the processing that comes out of Xperia. It's usually not over-sharpened, oversaturated, and things like that. It's actually this approach that Sony takes is one of the main reasons why I'm still continuing to stick with Xperia through all of these years. And I think this is where the real enjoyment comes from owning an Xperia, is in the process of taking photos. I think Sony at the moment is doing this the absolute best in combination with their shutter button, with their Pro apps, and just the way that the camera works. I think it is just the closest experience that you can get to owning a real camera. The new sensor tech on the 1 Mark V is great, and I've done a review between the 1 Mark V and the 1 Mark IV as well, and I think the tech does show a tangible difference between the devices, and so what I'm really hoping to see is that further down the line they can introduce this new X-More-T sensor tech to an even larger sensor, like a 1-inch type sensor, so that's where I really hope that Sony's going to head with that. A couple other really great features that I think kind of go a little bit unnoticed include the eye tracking that Xperia has in their native apps, as well as the 1 Mark V now introduces 30 frames per second burst, as well as HDR bursting as well. So 30 frames per second, you can catch a ton of action in between that, which I think is really cool. There's an updated bokeh mode as well, which is supposed to come in an update to the 1 Mark V. I know a lot of people have already received it, but I have not, so do stay tuned. I'm definitely going to make a video on it when I finally get that update on my 1 Mark V. My biggest gripe with Xperia in terms of photography is actually the telephoto lenses included on these models. In theory, on paper, it is such a great concept to be able to physically move between some different focal lengths, really awesome. It's what real cameras do with zoom type lenses, but I think in practice it just completely falls short here. I can't seem to get good images at all. Super occasionally I'll get one or two. I see quite a few posts and pictures with people saying like, hey, look, I was able to get a good image, like it can take good images, but in my opinion, at this price point for a flagship device, that shouldn't be the base argument. The base argument should not be it's possible to take good photos. The base should be it takes good photos. The 1.5 does offer expanded video features this time around, including 4K 120 recording on all the rear lenses, as well as being able to record these higher data rates to the external SD card. Alright, so here is a quick little test. I am using the vlog monitor right here. I do see I have the eye tracking, it looks great. And I have a little lav mic connected here as well, connected through the headphone jack. So this is the audio through the lav, through the headphone jack straight into the Video Pro app. And I think it's gonna sound great. Here's what we look like focus-wise. Honestly, doing things like this, getting something really close, and then moving back, you can see that kind of bigger sensor coming into effect here. It looks really good. Focus and everything works great, and the vlog monitor is a great little addition to have. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, yes, the 1 Mark V improves on basically everything with the models before it, but at the end of the day, I still have some major problems with the 1 Mark V. The first of these problems, which I also hinted at a little bit earlier in the video, is this telephoto camera. Why are we paying the premium that we're paying for a top-of-the-line device when, quite frankly, it's a trash telephoto camera? It is completely garbage. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I absolutely hate it. Like I said, there are some people who say they can get some good shots here and there. That's not what I'm paying for. I'm not paying for the off chance to get a good shot. I am paying for top-of-the-line performance, which this telephoto camera does not give. Another major problem I have with the current Xperia lineup is the lack of software support. 2 years is not really acceptable considering the competition is moving towards 4, 5, even 6 years of support. The final kind of big issue that I'm having with the moment actually has to do around the new Android update. As you may have seen with the 5 Mark V, it has a feature where you can get a lossless 2x zoom. The thing is, the 1 Mark V and the 5 Mark V, they share the same main sensor, so it is completely possible to add through software that feature to the 1 Mark V. However, they are not including that with the new Android update. Why the heck are you gonna give me this telephoto camera, this piece of garbage, I'm gonna say it. Why are you giving me this telephoto camera and then you're not giving me the option for the better 2x zoom through Android update? I don't understand it. It should be included. That's just the way it is. And I feel like at one point I even saw somewhere, I could have sworn I saw it, that they said it was going to be included with the 1 Mark V update, but hence here we are. It is not going to be included, and yeah, it's this kind of behavior that makes me not want to stay with Sony. I don't understand why I am paying a premium for their devices. I'm paying for their top-of-the-line things, and they are treating me the way they are treating me. So yes, if this kind of thing continues, I probably won't stay with Sony very long. I know it might seem petty, but yeah, to be honest, the competition is offering a lot of things now that Sony, I used to feel, was more exclusively providing, but yeah, that's kind of the way it is, I think. So the question at the end of it all, do I recommend the Xperia 1 Mark V in 2024? My honest answer this time around is actually no. If you know for sure that you love the Xperia line, then yes, of course, the 1 Mark V is a really great device. Like I said before, it improves upon all of the previous models in just about every asset. But if you are on the fence about maybe trying an Xperia and maybe it's like just a little bit too expensive, but you're trying to justify it to yourself, maybe it'll be worth it. Honestly, I'm gonna say maybe just be careful and make sure to weigh your other options a little bit more heavily. The 1 Mark V is MSRP so much more expensive than its competition, and to be honest, yes, it offers things that the competition doesn't, such as the headphone jack and the micro SD expansion, but if that isn't important to you, then honestly, a lot of the competition now is catching up in terms of manual mode performance and what they offer with their camera apps and things like that. So if you're able to find the 1.5 on a really good deal, maybe like a couple $100s off, then absolutely it is an amazing device. I think you would love it. But yeah, overall, I think I think the big thing with me is I'm really upset that they're not including the 2x mode with the One Mark V update. I think that has completely kind of shifted my view of Sony at the moment. Yes, I've always been a huge kind of fanboy of them and their line of products. I use their headphones, PlayStation, phone, cameras, everything, but to be honest, I'm getting pretty tired of the way they are treating their customers, and I think that has definitely skewed this video a little bit, so do keep that in mind as well. But of course, I'm going to continue to keep the One Mark V around. I'm not just going to throw it out the door or anything like that. I do actually plan on selling my One Mark IV in order to possibly get maybe an iPhone, I'm considering, just so I can kind of vary up the content on the channel a bit and have something direct to compare the One Mark V to. So if you're interested in some more diversified content, do be sure to subscribe. I do have some plans coming up for some new content as well. As always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you are interested in seeing things like some street photography using smartphones or my camera as well, be sure to check out some of my other videos on the channel. Otherwise, yes, have a great day, week, month, year, wherever you are, and see you in the next one.